Day 6 marked the beginning of the third round in Melbourne, a stage where the level naturally rises and the margins become thinner. The draw started to take real shape, and the matches already felt heavier, both physically and mentally. Carlos Alcaraz continued his strong run with a straight sets win over Corentin Moutet. Despite the 3-0 scoreline, it was far from a walk in the park. Moutet brought his usual variety, mixing spins, drop shots, and changes of pace that forced Alcaraz to stay sharp from the first point. The opening exchanges were competitive, but Alcaraz showed maturity beyond his years, remaining patient and refusing to rush points. As the match progressed, his intensity increased, his defense frustrated Moutet, and his forehand started doing real damage. Once Alcaraz found his rhythm, he controlled the match comfortably and closed it out with authority. The match of the day, and one of the standout matches of the tournament so far, belonged to Daniil Medvedev. The Russian produced an impressive comeback against Fabian Morosan, recovering from 2 sets down to win in 5. Medvedev struggled early, looking uncomfortable with Morosan's aggressive shot-making and depth. The Hungarian took full advantage, playing fearless tennis and putting Medvedev under constant pressure. But as the match wore on, Medvedev slowly began to impose himself. He cleaned up his unforced errors, extended rallies, and leaned on his superior physical endurance. From the third set onward, the momentum completely shifted. Medvedev raised his level, broke his opponent down mentally and physically, and once he had control, there was no turning back. A huge statement from the Russian, reminding everyone why he's one of the most dangerous players in best-of-5 matches. Alexander Zverev booked his place in the next round with a 4-set victory over Cameron Norrie. It wasn't a straightforward match, as Norrie's consistency and left-handed patterns asked real questions, but Zverev's serve and backhand made the difference over time. The German stayed patient through longer rallies, raised his level in the key moments, and gradually took control, showing both resilience and authority as the match progressed. Alexander Bublik delivered one of his most controlled performances of the tournament, defeating Thomas Martin Etcheverry in straight sets. The Kazakh combined his natural flair with discipline, serving exceptionally well and taking the ball early to rush his opponent. Etcheverry struggled to find answers as Bublik dictated play from the baseline and at the net. It was a very solid, mature display that shows Bublik is locked in and playing with real confidence. 5 matches. Lerner Tien delivered a very solid performance, defeating Nuno Borges in straight sets. Tien played with confidence and clarity, serving well and taking control of rallies early. He never allowed Borges to settle into the match and handled key moments with composure, sealing an important win and another step forward in his breakthrough tournament. Alex de Minaur produced a sharp and convincing performance to beat Frances Tiafoe in straight sets. The Australian set the tone with relentless speed and pressure, forcing Tiafoe into rushed decisions and errors. De Minaur's returning was particularly effective, constantly putting Tiafoe on the back foot. Backed by the home crowd, he controlled the tempo throughout and closed out a statement win in 3 sets. Tournament. Tommy Paul advanced after Alejandro Davidovich Fokina was forced to retire. Paul had taken the first 2 sets and was firmly in control, playing clean, aggressive tennis and dictating from the baseline. It was an unfortunate ending for Davidovich, who has struggled physically, but Paul looked sharp and efficient before the match was cut short. The women's upset unfolded in the men's draw as Francisco Cerundolo knocked out Andrei Rublev in straight sets. Cerundolo played fearless, high-intensity tennis, dominating baseline exchanges and consistently breaking down Rublev's rhythm. The Argentine's forehand did most of the damage, pushing Rublev back and forcing errors. Rublev never fully settled into the match, and Cerundolo took advantage, closing out a statement win that dramatically opens up this section of the draw. On the women's side, Aryna Sabalenka faced a much tougher challenge than expected against Anastasia Potapova. The world #1 won in straight sets, but both sets went to tiebreaks, 7-6, 7-6. Sabalenka wasn't at her most dominant, but she showed resilience and composure in the biggest moments. Her serve carried her through the pressure situations, and when the rallies tightened, she trusted her power to make the difference. Coco Gauff also had to work for her spot in the next round, defeating Hailey Baptiste in 3 sets. Gauff experienced some ups and downs during the match, but her ability to reset and raise her level in the deciding set stood out. She played with more margin, defended well, and used her athleticism to turn defense into offense when it mattered most. Mira Andreeva continued her impressive run with a very comfortable straight sets win over Elena Gabriela Rus. The young Russian was in complete control from start to finish, dictating rallies with depth and composure well beyond her years. Rus struggled to find any rhythm as Andreeva moved the ball effortlessly and stayed aggressive on key points. It was a clean, confident performance that highlights her growing threat in this tournament. Another notable result came from Mboko, who won a physical 3-set battle against Clara Towson. It was a match full of momentum swings, but Mboko showed impressive mental strength, staying composed in the key moments and closing out a demanding contest. Alina Svitolina continued her strong run in Melbourne with a straight sets victory over Diana Schneider. The Ukrainian was solid and disciplined from start to finish, using her experience to absorb pace and turn defense into offense. Schneider had moments where she tried to dictate, but Svitolina's consistency and court coverage proved too much. It was a controlled, professional performance that sends her confidently into the next contest. A major upset shook the women's draw as Jovic eliminated Jasmine Paolini in straight sets. Paolini never fully found her rhythm, struggling to impose her usual consistency from the baseline. Jovic, on the other hand, played with confidence and clarity, stepping inside the court and taking time away whenever possible. She served well in key moments and stayed composed under pressure, closing out both sets convincingly to secure the biggest win of her Australian Open campaign. As the third round gets underway, the tournament is clearly entering a new phase. The easy wins are disappearing, physical endurance is starting to matter more, and mental strength is becoming just as important as shot making. Day 6 gave us a glimpse of what's to come. Champions being tested, young players stepping up, and matches that could have a lasting impact on the rest of the tournament. And with plenty of big clashes still to be completed, the intensity in Melbourne is only going to rise from here. That's what Day 6 of the Australian Open delivered. If you enjoy the summary, leave a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.